I'm Beth Ann.
And this is Let's Talk BL, a boys love podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast. We're here to chit chat, talk all things BL.
Wow. Oh, cool.
We didn't talk about an intro, so when I'm responsible for it, you're going to get random thoughts as they come to my head. Okay, so today's episode, we're talking about our top 5 BL actors.
Yes, this was a requested episode. We kind of made a joke about doing this, and we were like, ha ha ha, if you want that. But then like a bunch of people were like, yes, I want that. So here we are.
We did not tell each other our list beforehand.
We did not, although I have a feeling that there are 2 in common.
Interesting.
I have a feeling. It's just my guess.
I
think that one of mine will be a shock. But
I would assume 1, but
if you pay attention to me, it shouldn't be a shock.
Fascinating.
Yes.
Curious. Yeah, because I would say, like, of course, we have, like, our ships. Like, there are certain ships. We're not big shippers, but we do have some ships that we follow. There's some ship content.
Yeah, there's only one. I'm mostly an actor follower.
Right.
I'm not a like, you're definitely a big, like, shipper, right? Like, you've always said, like, you watch all the Zee content.
I like to watch the ship content.
You really like ship content. I don't. I like individual boys. The only ship that I think I've ever watched is like for the purpose of the ship content is Taenu.
Yeah.
I really like Taenu ship work.
Did you watch Chris Singto ship work?
I did when I got into Singto because I was like curious about it because I had watched Sodas.
I know because you talk a lot about their ship work and I was like, but when did she watch
because it's fascinating. Their ship work is just fascinating. Like, I watched Sodas, and it was by the time I really realized that I liked Singto as an actor, Singto had already left GMMTV.
Oh,
and so all of Chris Singto was like very fascinating to me because like they weren't at the same company anymore, and they had like done this BL that was so iconic, and it was like early days, but they were still doing ship work. So I was like, this is fascinating. And also, of course, Chris had a reputation, and so I was curious about it. Like, I was just so curious. I was like, how could he do ship work with this reputation he has? And so I went and watched a bunch of it because I was just curious. And what's fascinating about it is I watched it and I was like, Chris is the one that carries this ship.
Yeah, that's
like
interesting.
Chris is the one that really did the work in that ship, and it was just fascinating to me. So I talk a lot about it, mostly from like a sociological point of view. Like, it's very interesting to me. Like, Chris Singto are interesting to me.
Your research has led you to know more about Chris Singto.
Yeah, but as far as, like, for me watching for, like, the ship of it all, pretty much the only one is Taenu for me.
That's so funny.
Yeah, but I've always liked individual boys, so this challenge was actually very hard for me because I was like, what are the qualifications for like top actor? Like,
it's also 5. Very hard in BL because there's so little actual acting half the time. Like, you see a boy that you really like in one show, and that's like all they do for like 5 years. So it's really hard. Like, even I would say GMMTV boys, it's a little easier because like a Thitipoom, for example, has Dark Blue Kiss, right? That's the only BL he's done technically, like led a BL.
Yeah, I mean, so
but then you have like
Pete
10
Cow,
other things that he's done.
Pete Cow, the ship existed in more than Dark Blue Kiss.
But so yeah, I would say it's hard sometimes if you really love a BL actor to love them for the acting.
But the thing about Thitipoom is that if you're looking at it from the point of view, like, this is my top actor, he's acted so much. Yeah, I would agree. But that's what I'm saying is, like, it's kind of easier, or like, I guess Zee of like Zee, like, he's been in a ton of things because he has that flexibility. But like your classic BL actor who's maybe done 1 or 2 BLs, they don't venture. They like spend the rest of their time doing brand appearances or ship work or whatever. Let's not forget, ship work is acting.
Yeah, true.
Ship work is acting.
It's a different type of acting.
It's basically a stage performance. It's basically a stage play. Like, ship work is acting. Like, let's not get it twisted. When we're watching 2 actors interact with each other on a stage in front of a camera, they are acting. Even if they're coming on screen and being like, hello, my name is Thitipoom. He is acting. acting.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that.
I would say, well, and it's so like the lines obviously are blurred, and we see that in Western media too, right? Like, I don't know why the name that comes to mind, but like J-Lo that we see on a screen is not the J-Lo, and we've seen it.
I think Kesha's a really good example of this. I've always said Kesha is,
especially because she has a stage name, so it like makes it even.
Well, but also
clearer.
She just had this like very outrageous personality when she first sort of like debuted.
Or
we
like
don't really
Lady
call
Gaga.
it like debuting, but like when she first debuted. And Kesha is a really good example of like this real person that became like a caricature of herself.
Right.
And so like, yeah, I've always said Kesha is a good example of like, you can't like when you're interacting, even in the West, like even not only with like these like those blurred lines you talk about exist in all media and all parasocial relationships and all celebrities.
Yeah. I mean, it happens in real life. There's definitely a persona that people put on at work versus
another really good one, a really good example is Toby Keith.
Excuse me?
Yeah, Toby Keith is a great example.
I don't know anything about Toby Keith.
He's a personality. But like who Toby Keith is, and because he's like kind of public about who he actually is, it's really interesting to watch. So like Toby Keith, if you're unfamiliar with the like American country music genre,
I wonder if there are any Thai actors into country music.
He's the dude that did Red Solo Cup. He's also the dude that did the song about like we'll put a boot up your ass, it's the American way, right? Like the red, white, and blue, like that whole song. That's Toby Keith, right? Like he is the like feed beer to your horses dude.
Right,
like
right.
He's that dude, right? Like
ride a horse, save a cowboy.
He is ride a horse, save a cowboy,
save a horse, ride a cowboy.
Yeah, save a horse, ride a cowboy. Yeah. Like, he is that dude too. But like he's very well known for his like Hell Yeah America song, right?
Yeah,
he's got that like we'll
redneck.
put a boot up your ass. It's
he
the
from
American
California?
way. No. He is bright blue.
Funny.
He's very, very, very Democrat.
Funny.
Super Democratic, right? And like you wouldn't think that, but like he is the polar opposite of this like personality that he is through his music. And so like
funny.
This exists, I feel like, in all genres, across all types of artists, across everything. So when I was trying to put together my list, I was like, this is so hard because I don't like, what are the qualifications for my top 5 actors? Is it that they're good actors? Is it that I like who I think they are as people, right? That I like their persona that they've put out in public? Is it that I think they're hot? Like, what is it? Like, what defines, like, top 5 actor?
Right. Because there are so many people that are, like, flavor of the month.
Or just like, yeah, that dude's super hot, but like, I don't know if I'd ever want to watch it. Like, or like, right? It's like I'm watching this and I love it, but like, it's because I think he's so cute.
Yeah. My list is definitely, I would want to see them act in a show. Like I went purely acting.
Yeah, I went purely acting.
Because maybe we should do top 5 thirst traps or top 5 like.
Oh my god, top 5 thirst traps in BL would be so funny.
Top 5 eye candy.
But I feel like we'd get canceled for that, so maybe not. Maybe we don't do that. Maybe.
Listen, these boys absolutely know what they're doing, and they're doing it on purpose.
Oh, they're absolutely doing it on purpose. There's so many of these boys that are trouble with a capital T. Yeah. But when I try to figure out, okay, what is a top 5 actor? Because, like, listen, people are totally going to flame us for these lists. People are going to be like, oh, I can't believe that you think such and such is a good actor. Or clearly you just think he's hot. Or, like, how dare you have this opinion?
What is it in BL world? I feel like this is just, like, what happens when a genre gets bigger and bigger. But there's always these, like, gatekeeping fans that are like, you can't speak that name in my presence if you don't know all this information. And you're like, y'all, this ain't that serious.
I think it's more so about like, how could you think so-and-so is a better actor than my boy who you didn't name? Like, how dare you forget about him? So for mine, it wasn't that I necessarily forgot about anybody. This is a really difficult list for me to make.
It is hard.
I went fully on, if someone were to ask me, and a couple of these people have asked me, like, why do you like him? Like, I've had somebody, for one of the people on this list, for two of the people on this list, I've had somebody flat out ask me, why do you like him? And if my answer relates back to their acting, I put them on this list.
Cute.
That's what I did with it.
Love it. Okay. Should we get to the list?
I mean, we might as well start with the one that we know is the same. Mungan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course. Now, this is one of the boys that I have been flat out asked, why do you like him? Multiple times. But I can remember 3 times I've had people ask me, why do you like Seo so much?
Well, and I knew from the jump, I was like, oh my God, Ayla's going to lose her mind when she sees the show and sees this actor. And it was like the acting in the show.
Yeah. And so the way that I always describe this, and this is, if you are a Let's Talk BL listener, you've heard this 1.5 million times. He acts with his eyes.
Right.
Seo has this very unique talent of being able to make me feel what that character is feeling with no dialogue.
Right.
He can literally just, and he doesn't have to move his eyebrows. He doesn't have to do anything. Something literally changes in his eyes when he's feeling different, when that character is feeling different emotions. And I know what he's supposed to be feeling. Like, I know what he's trying to move me to feel. And I am just so incredibly impressed with that.
Yeah.
And so as far as his acting, that's why he's the top of my list. It's just, I feel like that's such a unique skill and talent that not every actor, and not even every talented actor, has.
No. And you know what's crazy? We've obviously had the privilege to interact with him in real life. We've like spent a significant amount of time with him. And I can still watch him in a TV show on screen and see the character.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I
kind
see
of
Torn.
crazy. Yeah. When we were watching La Pluie, because we watched La Pluie right in the middle of spending that day with him in Bangsan. Go watch our Bangsan vlog.
Yeah. Bairong Haiti Bangsan.
Yes. And it was so surreal because, like, Seo, the person, is absolutely as wonderful as you would hope he'd be. But also, he's just, like, a real normal person. But then you see him on screen and, like, truly deserves the Cutest Boy in Thailand award because, you know, Cute Boy Thailand was talent as well as acting as well as being hella cute. But it's just so wild to watch him on screen because I'm like, I don't know that boy. I'm so glad I don't know that boy because I couldn't handle knowing the boy that, like, he is on screen in these characters.
Yeah, I truly, every time, like, I see Torn, I don't see Seo.
Yeah.
Which is very unique because You're My Sky, Chud My Katong Fa. Right? Like, we also have had the unique experience of getting to spend time with all of the actors in that show. And I have since tried to rewatch You're My Sky, Chud My Katong Fa. And there are a couple actors with a couple scenes that, like, I don't see those characters anymore. I see the people I know, and it hurts my brain, and I can't watch it. But with Seo, with Torn, I see Torn.
Yeah.
I feel Torn's feelings. Like, it's not the same person, and that is very unique ability to, like. You know who else can do this? This boy is not on my list, but I feel like Pooin does that really well.
I was wondering if Pooin would be on your list.
He's not on my list. It was really hard. I thought about cheating and making a top 5 GMMTV actors list,
classic.
but I felt like that was a cheat and I didn't do it.
Yeah, because you raved about Pooin's acting.
Yeah. I genuinely think Pooin is an excellent actor, and I think Pooin does the same thing where, like, when I watched Never Let Me Go from that first episode, I didn't see Nungdiao, or I didn't see Pooin. I saw Nungdiao.
Yeah, it took me a minute to believe him as Batman.
I believed him immediately. I don't know why. Maybe because, like, he's like my little bro. I don't know. Like, I see him very much as, like, this kid that's like, you know. But I think that Pooin has a similar talent, just not to the extent that Seo does. Like, Seo is just, oh my God, so good at it. Also, if you haven't watched Cute Boy Thailand, he does this, like, musical performance, and Seo is just as good in a musical as he is in a TV show.
Oh, Seo in a musical would be fantastic. He'd play a really great Evan Hansen in Dear Evan Hansen. Because that boy can cry. That boy can emote.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's the eyes.
Kills it.
Okay, next up. Should we say the next one that I think is same?
Yeah.
So next on my list is Zee Pruk.
Oh, no, he's not on my list.
Really? Yeah, so that's interesting because, as we mentioned, you love watching Zee Nunu ship work. And you talk a lot about Zee. And I hear a lot of people talk about, like, how hot Zee is. But for me, I'm not personally like attracted to Zee. Like Zee is attractive, but I'm not like, oh my god, he's so
not
hot.
my type. Yeah.
But I think Zee is a phenomenal actor because Zee has made me hate him so many times.
I know we talked about this, especially with as good as his ship work is. I was like, what's interesting, and why I think he gets so much hate is because nobody actually knows who he is, and it drives people crazy because they're constantly trying to like cancel him and like reveal things about his past and like scrounge the internet to find like whatever crumbs. And the boy can act. The boy has made himself a blank page.
He is an incredible actor.
So interesting.
To the point where, like, again, he's made me hate him 3 times.
And plays the worst characters.
He has made me hate. He has, like, to the point where I was like, I don't want to see his face. Like, I don't think I could look him in the face. Like so angry. Another actor who's not on my list who is able to do that is Bilkin. Truly, after I Promised You the Moon, I was like, that boy, I was like, I better not catch him in the streets in Thailand. Like,
I know, you were like,
I was so angry. I was like, I don't want to see his face. Don't show me his face. I don't want anything to do with him. But
she came back around. We almost went to a Bilkin appearance, but we couldn't.
I do think that is the mark of a good actor.
It's true.
Because I don't hate Zee. That's the thing. And, like, what's cool about Zee as an actor is that, like, I have seen him in BLs and shows that had a BL storyline, but it wasn't a BL. So Remember 15 is the show I'm talking about. Remember 15. And Remember 15 is what really blew me away. Like, I did think he was incredible in Why Are You, because I thought that the, like, range of emotions he was able to show was crazy. But Remember 15 was, like, honestly, I was like, I don't see Zee. I see this, like,
really
this evil dude, but like it was weird because he was evil, but he was still a human.
Yeah.
Like he brought humanity to this person that was so evil and terrible. It like he did such a good job.
Yeah, the scene in Why Are You where again Zee plays these characters that like do really questionable things out of like passion, and his motives were like
Remember 15 was not out of passion. I just want to point that out.
Yeah,
that was out of being a terrible person.
I was gonna say I don't know what his motives were.
His motive there was that he's evil,
just a bad dude.
Yeah.
But that scene in Why Are You where he's going to confront Saint's character. And he's like, why have you broken up with me? And he's like trying to really like force it out of him basically. And then he like realizes what he's doing, and he is a decent human in Why Are You? And so he stops, and in that scene you're just like, oh, you like feel for him. Like,
and he sits down and cries. Oh my God. In that scene you're talking about, when he sits down like at the foot of that bed with the TV, like I can see it in my head.
Yeah.
And he cries. Oh my God. Like he is just such a good actor. And Remember 15 was crazy because if you watched that, he had to do a PSA both before and after that episode. And the actress that he did that scene with had to make a statement to be like, he's not actually like this. Like, he's a good person, because he was just so good at being evil that like he had to be like, this is fake, this is a character, but he portrayed it so realistically. I'm like, I respect Zee a lot. Like, I genuinely have a lot of respect for Zee. I think he's a great actor. So.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yes.
I haven't seen his, I think it's Club Friday.
Yeah.
I haven't seen his other show that he came out with where he plays like the mistress of an older woman. I really want to see that. I don't think it's available internationally though with subtitles.
Yeah, they just started releasing those with subs.
Yeah,
this Na and Bank Mandap one, I think is the first one with subs.
I know. I wonder if Moss's will have subs because it's coming out now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree. So on the same vein of Remember 15, one of the boys on my list is Tidal.
Oh, that's a good one. He's not on my list, but that's a good one. I respect that.
We had a Tidal awakening this year, and it was crazy because, again, this is one of those situations where we have met him in person, and I did not remember he played the boy in Tarn Type.
Yeah, so he is the little cousin in Tarn Type 2 that lives across the hall.
Yeah, the first time I met him, and we interviewed him for Remember Me, and I was like, oh, yeah. And that, I think, is the mark of a good actor, too, is that, like, you forget that they've played a character.
Because that character couldn't be more different than all the characters he's played this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's in Remember 15.
He is. And he is the most... he's the most heartbreaking character in Remember 15.
Well, and also, like...
He never did anything wrong.
Yeah, because...
I'm still upset about that.
He also plays this, like, is he bad? Isn't he bad?
No, he's not. He never did anything wrong.
Sweet bozo.
He got axed in the head. Oh my God.
Spoiler alert.
Nobody's ever watched the show.
It's so good, though.
Also, you should know, literally at the end of this, everyone dies. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Like,
but dang, in Remember Me, the sweet boy has to be
cries
so sad.
every episode.
So sad.
Sweet champ.
And then in La Pluie, he has to cry in almost every episode.
Yeah.
The boy can emote.
He can, yes.
But probably one of my favorite characters he has played is in future series.
Oh, yes.
Because
evil title, who wasn't actually evil, actually. He
just wanted a boy.
He never did nothing wrong. And whenever he like broke his heart, that he didn't do a bad thing.
No, he didn't.
He was like, I don't know if it was a college fling, and he's like, I don't know if I like him enough to meet his parents, but he didn't want to hurt the boy's feelings. He didn't do anything wrong. He just got portrayed as a villain. I'm heated.
Justice for Title.
Justice.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what Title does next. We've talked about a little bit about the interesting part of when a boy gets a ship that does really well. Do they stay with that ship? If they're not part of like a GMMTV or Do Monday, it's always like, will they, won't they? And so I'd be curious to see. I mean, like at first we didn't understand the Title MP, but now I fully understand the Title MP.
When they got cast, I didn't get it.
Yeah. And so I'm really excited. I hope that Title MP get more, but I also hope that Title literally does anything and everything. Cause
I like Title with the like mix match of partners he's had. I think we should have more of that in BL, so I enjoy it. I like it. You go, Title.
Who was the girl he was paired with in Remember 15?
Yes.
Wasn't she somebody?
Well, I mean, she is somebody. She's a human.
I mean,
no, I'd never seen her before Remember 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a fun little one. I hope he gets all the jobs. He's so booked and busy the past 2 years.
I love it.
Okay. Next up.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't decide if I should. This is the order I wrote them in, but like they're not in any specific order.
Yeah.
Here, let's switch things up. Next on my list, Park Seo-ham.
Oh, you went Korean
yes.
too?
Semantic error if the name doesn't ring a bell for you.
Yeah.
And again, this one comes down to the acting for me. Like I really did sit and try and think about like acting, like actors.
Right.
And I will say I did purposely leave off GMMTV because it was like too hard. It was unfair. Park Seo-ham. I think he did such an outstanding job of like bringing humanity to this like bully, and like I think he did such a good job of portraying like trying to understand someone that is struggling with a mental illness that you yourself don't struggle with. Right. I think that potentially could have been a very like challenging storyline to portray without messing it up, honestly.
Right.
And I just like I believed everything he did, and he just recently got back from the military, and he's in talks for a new show, and I'm very, very excited. Like when I heard that news, I was like, oh yes. Yeah. And I just like I think he did such a phenomenal job with that character that even though I have only seen him in one thing, he still made my list.
I love it.
Yes.
My outlier is you're gonna laugh at this because I'm fully obsessed with this boy, is Todd from Ghost House.
Okay, tell me why.
And Love Area. So I was first introduced to him in Love Area, and he played such a small-ish character in the first season. I watched the second season fully for him. But this character he plays, again with the mental illness, he has severe depression. And in the first season, his character has broken up with this boy and just disappeared, and you don't know why. And then he's come back. They pick up. He's come back, and he's trying to get back with his ex. And you see his ex kind of struggling with like accepting it because he was really heartbroken. And Todd plays this character so interestingly because he's like, I struggled with this hard thing. I didn't want to bring you down with me, and he like he does it in such a way that is so interesting to watch. And I think the mark of a good actor too is being able to play a character, a side character at that hooks you, that you continue watching just a really bad show. Like, the show overall is just absolutely ridiculous. And also into season two, honestly, it's even more ridiculous. He's the character that ends up making out with Jeff Satter's character.
Yes.
And like, I was so thankful to get a season 2 just for like the Todd of it all, because again, he plays this like really, really dynamic character that's really struggling with a lot of things, and he can't quite figure himself out. And so then in Ghost House, he got repaired, and he's just so interesting to watch. Like, I really hope that he kind of gets more stuff and ventures out, because he's one of those boys that, like, yes, I like him as a person, but like I don't really follow him as a person, because like he's not a very public figure. He like sells things on TikTok, I think. Like, he has his own little merch store. But overall, like, he's not really a celebrity. And so I don't really know, like, I don't have any of his facts memorized. Like, I don't know anything about him as a person. I think he's a cute boy when he posts on Instagram, but like, I really want to see him act. Like, I want to see him play more characters. He's just so cute. That too.
So speaking of side characters, my next one, everybody's gonna laugh, and everybody's gonna question me about, is it really about the acting, Ayla? Like, I cannot, like, I already see the comments.
Go ahead.
I already see the DMs. Is it really about the acting, Ayla?
Who could this be?
God play Supa. Hear me out. Hear me out.
I did think about putting bonus on my list, but I didn't.
Okay. I love people, but this is a very different situation to that.
Because that scene in Gen Y season 2 on the balcony, that's a really good scene.
Sure. But I have multiple examples to back up my decision.
Listen,
so
he's playing a really cute house spirit right now.
Okay, let's talk about God Play Supa. So I know I can already see the DMs. Is it really about the acting? So like, we all knew that one was coming. Okay. Speaking of a side character, God Play Supa has this like unique ability to take a side character, and you like believe the side character. And anytime any character that this man plays shows up on screen,
yes,
the entire literally his character's presence brings light to the show. I mean,
he is the egg god.
He is. Everything about every character he plays makes the show better. And I think that's a mark of a good actor, is when every single character you played. And by the way, I only know this because, shout out Star Hunter, thank you so much for getting us awesome videos for our cup sleeve event.
Yes.
That happened back in February. I had to pull up everybody's filmographies for all the videos that were given to us.
Right.
He is the most experienced actor in Star Hunter.
Yeah,
he has the longest filmography. He has done the most, and I have watched all of it.
Been in so much.
And I have watched all of it.
I mean, technically, even if he's in like 2 minutes of 20 shows, I don't know if that would be the most
he's like a prominent side character in every show except for like Big Dragon. He's only in it for like 2 seconds, but every other show he's been in.
The mark of a good actor is you waiting an entire series,
and everybody was on board with that. The number of like replies we got when he finally showed up. But so like, genuinely, he is such a good actor, and you believe his characters. And again, like, you watch him on screen and you don't see God. Like, now that I have had the immense pleasure,
you always see God,
of like meeting this person in real life and spending some time, keep an eye out for our Chiang Mai vlog. Real life God and God from Gen Y, or God from WhatsApp Man, or God from Bad Roommate, right? Like, all of these other like gods aren't the same person. And so again, like what we were talking about, of when you watch a character and you don't see that persona, you see the character. And also just like the ability to make a show good. Like, Gen Y exists and is good and is fun to watch because of that side character. This man had sage wisdom in that show. Like, he literally is driving people around and he's like, hey, maybe what if you weren't a stalker though? Like, what if we didn't do that? Like, Truly, like, and I do think it's a credit to his talent that out of everyone in that whole company, he gets cast in everything. And there's a reason for that. Like, there is a reason for that. He's a good actor.
He's such a good actor.
And all of his side characters are, like, fun and fresh.
I can't wait to see what he does next year.
Yeah.
Or the end of this year.
Whenever Sunset Vibes comes out, because he of course, as we know, if you've been paying attention to the photo shoot content that came out earlier this year,
Buzzgun.
He has been paired with Buzz from Element.
Fascinating.
Which, in case anyone was wondering, we did not ask about in Chiang Mai because, like, we forgot.
I mean, no, we didn't forget because there's a moment. There's a moment when we were in Chiang Mai and Tora took a photo of Buzzgan.
Oh, right.
And it's very, like, poster-esque.
That's the only time I remembered that.
Stay tuned. Maybe I'll release that photo.
But it was so, I mean, it's already been released. Tora posted it. Like, he posted the actual photo off his camera.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
So funny.
So you've already seen the photo.
I'll repost it in case you missed it.
But, he's genuinely a good actor.
I will say a lot of these boys, when you meet them in person, like, you don't think about the characters they played on screen because I didn't think of Pak Chong when I was with Pinkbo.
That's for the best, really.
Yeah.
But all I have to say is that every single one of God's side characters are, like, fun and fresh, but they're all very different and they're all unique. And, like, I can tell you something different about every single one of them. It's not, like, the same side character over and over again. Even though, like, they all sort of, like, he does get typecast.
I was going to say, he reminds me of, like, a Neo. I'd be so interested to see him play, like, a really serious
Neo's
character.
an excellent actor.
No, he really is.
So, that's my reason for Gad. It's not because he's cute, but he is cute.
Okay. Speaking of actors that get you to hate them, Kauna's on my list. That man. We've met him in person, and Kauna might be the number one person that we've met in person that I was like, I don't know you. Like, I don't know this person. Because his persona, his acting on screen as a character, especially as Long in Turn Type, starting there, my God, like, the worst of the worst. And then...
Well, and Kauna is cool because we mentioned that to him, right? Like, I can't remember what I said, but I said something about it. Because I got brave with Kauna, and I think you got brave with Turbo. I don't remember how that happened. But, like, I said something to him about Long and about how terrible Long is and how much I hated Long. And he said, thank you. That's what I was going for. Yeah. And, like, that's so cool.
Yeah, he was a whole experience in person, but also he has played this character that's, like, so evil, that has, like he literally is one
There's no forgiving that character.
No, there's very few characters that have zero redemption. They just need to be, like, pushed off a cliff, and he definitely deserves to be pushed off a cliff. And then in Love Stage, he played such a sweet boy. So sweet.
I can't wait to see him in my universe.
Yeah, the trailer looks really spooky.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I also just can't wait. Like, I wanted to watch that Thai PBS show that he did with Max where he played, like, a little, whatever it is.
Water polo? Was it water polo?
No, it was like a rowing.
Kayak.
It was
rowing, yeah.
And then I haven't watched the fan show with Nunu. But yeah, he's done quite a bit, and so I can't wait to see.
He is an experience in person. He's a whole experience. It's true. I think I've told this story before on the podcast, maybe. So sorry if you're hearing this for the millionth time. Yeah. We went to go see Kauna and Turbo perform at, like, appearances, and we went to two in the same day, which is high-key funny. So we went to two in the same day, which is so funny. And they saw us at both of them because at the first one, like, for some reason, no one was just, like, walking up and standing in the front. Yeah. And so I was like, I'm just going to walk over here. And then I tried to leave, and you were like, no, stay.
We were sitting in chairs, and they took the chairs away.
And everybody kind of stood off to the side.
Yeah, people moved to the side. We stood where we were, and then they started putting, like, barricades up. And we were you were like, we should move away. And I was like, no, you stand here until someone tells you to move. Because, like, the assumption a lot of times is like, oh, I should get out of the way. But until someone tells you to move out of the way, like, you stay there.
Well, mostly I wasn't saying we should move because they were putting up the barricades. It was because all the people that looked like they knew what was happening, the fan sites, like all the fan sites moved away. And I was like, if anybody knows what's happening here, the fan sites know what's happening. But then once we stayed there,
the fan sites usually go to the back anyway.
Well, no, once we stayed there, all the fan sites came around us. So like clearly, apparently we were in charge. Anyways, by the time we got to the second appearance,
they knew.
Kauna sang the Tarn type song.
Oh my
god. And as
God.
soon as those and
fantastic.
Listen, Long was the Earth's worst, but his version of that theme song is the best version of that theme song. Yes. And so as soon as those notes started playing, I literally couldn't contain myself. I had a physical reaction to it.
It was like, such a shame that we were wearing masks.
But it didn't matter because I had like my whole body seized up. I had a physical reaction to it. This man, you would have thought that nobody had ever complimented him in his life because he
gained so much power.
He gained so much power in that moment. And yeah, he is.
And then afterwards, so we had already interviewed Kauna Turbo at this point, and after that appearance, and we had seen them twice that day, he tries to like say hello, and we're like, nope,
I don't know you. So now that's our joke is like, for example, if we ever in Thailand at the same time that like Element is doing a show, we're gonna go and we're gonna like be the fans we are. Yes. And if any of them look at us, we're gonna be like,
we don't know you.
We've never met before. I have no idea who you are. What's your name? My name's Ayla. Like,
I can't wait.
But yeah, Kauna really is an experience. Yeah. He was one of the only ones that I have like been like freaked out to talk to. Like I remember we were in the middle of another interview.
Yeah.
When they walked in and sat down, and I just like I happened to glance up and I saw Turbo sitting there, and like I panicked a little bit. And then they went and they sat down on the couch where we were gonna interview them, and we like literally had to like powwow to the side, and we were like, we're professionals. We can get through this. And then I started walking up to him, and I tripped and fell. I didn't fall down, but I like tripped.
Yeah.
And truly, somebody pointed out to me later, I should have just kept falling because Kauna did the thing that any normal human would do is like
could have had a fall kiss.
Right. But I didn't. Anyways, Kauna's an experience in real life. I'm not a huge fan of Kauna, but like he's an experience in real life.
I am. And I would say he's one of the few people, because the joke on our podcast with our guests is that we're like best friends at the end of our podcast. Because that's kind of the vibe we want to give. Like we want you to feel comfortable enough to like have fun and it not be awkward, and us to be all besties at the end of it. I would say I could never be besties with Kauna.
No.
He was definitely one of those people that after you met him and talked to him, even for the 20 minutes that we talked to him, I was like, mm-mm.
He had so much power. Truly, that interview, we were like, literally we started the podcast, and before we could even like be like, say anything, he was like, I have a question for you. And both of us were like, oh God, I've never spoken English before in my life. What is language?
How dare you speak to me? It was ridiculous.
Yes.
Okay, last but not least for you.
Last on my list, all of these other men that I've just named basically don't exist. And I would throw them off a cliff, and I have said this since season 1. I would throw all these people and more off of a cliff to get to this person.
Mm-hmm.
War, Wanarat, Ratsamirat.
Yes.
My number one, my day one, my ride or die. Absolutely, War, Wanarat. Again, go all the way back to season 1. I have loved him from the jump. I've loved him from the beginning. End of Love Mechanics was the first Thai BL I ever watched. And I just like, as soon as this man, as Mark, showed up on my screen, I was sold on him. What I loved about him was I loved that character. And that's why even though War has not acted in a ton of stuff, like comparatively compared to, right, like when I name off like Zee's filmography or like God's filmography.
I mean, War does have that fun little short film.
Yeah, he has a little short film, and he had another series like a long time ago when he was like Baby War and had like braces and everything.
But that doesn't.
But there's no subs. But I have watched it, even though there's no subs. I did watch it. But again, still, that's only a few things. Yeah. Like compared to others, his filmography is not the longest. But I think he's genuinely a phenomenal actor. Particularly if you watch the long version of Love Mechanics, so the newer one.
Right.
The way that he portrays Mark and the way that he like shows emotion is pretty incredible.
He's dynamic for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially the way he shows anger. I really like the way that War portrays like when he's mad.
Because that character could come across really bratty and like annoying. And at no point did I find him annoying.
No.
I just,
He was just going through something the whole time.
He's just going through something. He is fun to watch.
Yeah, I think he's probably out of every actor I've ever seen, I think he portrays like anger the best. Because I think a lot of times when actors portray anger, like are in a mad scene, like you almost get mad at them and you're like, you're acting irrationally, like why are you behaving that way, like but with War, the way that he portrays it is very layered. Like you see all of the undertones. You really understand why he's there and why that character, like Mark specifically, is behaving that way based on all the other things that has happened to him. And I think that's something not a lot of actors can do well. I think anger is a really hard emotion to portray as an actor.
I agree.
Because it can either come off fake or like too much.
I'd be so curious to know who War is as a real person.
A wonderful weirdo.
Because that's the thing is that, like, he's very much a character in real life. Like, he is very eccentric and has, like, all his hobbies. And like you were saying earlier, like, all these people kind of play a character.
Yeah.
And so he's definitely cultivated this really artsy and interesting person. And so, like, I can't even imagine what it would be like to
with his pottery and his tennis and his dog. I love everything about him.
Oh, the dog.
And
the
his
dog
little
is so
pictures
cute.
that he takes of faces that aren't faces.
Yeah.
And his chickens. I'm obsessed with him. God, I'm obsessed with him.
I know. I wonder what he'll do next. I wonder what they'll do next. That is the one thing about when a ship gets really popular, the acting unfortunately kind of takes a hit. I mean, props to Do Mundi for really like, and I think it's more to do with Zee is the fact that they've really, really focused on the acting and that both Zee and Nunu. And I think it's because Zee is really involved and like really likes the acting part of it. And so he pushes for that, but like you could definitely get pretty complacent about the like acting of it all. Yeah. As one of these BL actors, if the money's coming in with the ship
from
work,
the brand deals,
I know. Okay, last but not least on my list, new Thitipoom.
Ah, yes. I've seen that one coming.
Have loved New as an actor, and Nui is interesting for me because I love Taetuan. But New as an actor, it's really just New as an actor. Again, I don't really know much about him as a person. I don't follow him as a person. I don't really follow like the Tae New of it all. I follow Tae. I follow New. But like I haven't watched their ship work. I haven't watched their like show that, you know, GMMTV always gives these boys like a YouTube show. I haven't really watched much of that. But I will watch anything and everything that New acts in. He did a Thai version of the Korean show I Need Romance. And I loved him in that. I've watched everything he's been in. I watched The Warp Effect for him. I just thought he's such an interesting actor because I feel like in real life I have this perception of him as like just like a finance bro. Like very just like he's a man, right? Like there's not much to him. But the characters that he plays on screen are just so interesting to me. And I don't know, there's something about the way that he acts that like from day one, I was like, yes. Because like Tae very much could like, does overpower in any show and any scene because Taetuan. But like, it's new for me. I just find him so interesting as an actor. I can't wait to see what he does next. I can't wait to see them do Cherry Magic. I think it's going to be incredible.
I think they're going to kill it. I think that there's no better pairing to play those characters. And I know people are like up in arms about it.
They're going to make it so
I think they're going to do such a good job.
The trailer alone.
I think they're going to do such a good job. I think it was a genius move.
It really is. And I think it's so ridiculous when people are like, how dare you? But obviously
the Japanese one isn't going anywhere, you guys. It's a different interpretation.
Well, and that's the funny thing is that like there's 100 million versions of F4.
Yes.
And literally no one cares. I mean, mind you, that's a horrible story.
I think it's because F4 has been around and been reimagined so many times that now it's just sort of like accepted that it's going to be reimagined over and over again.
Maybe there's some loyal book fans who are very, very upset every time it gets rebooted.
I don't know. I haven't seen those people, but I did see people that were like concerned. They were like, basically that they felt that it was disrespectful for this to be reimagined, but I don't really see it that way. I think that
that's
when
the mark of a good story.
Yeah,
let them do it.
Well, I mean, there's no it's happening. GMMTV has already purchased it. So.
I will say, and I saw a lot on Twitter of people being like, once the trailer came out, people were like, oh, maybe this is okay, because that's the interesting part about remakes is that they're different enough from the original that it holds obviously the characters and the essence. It's almost like the 20 million versions of Two Moons too, right? Like
of Two Moons
or Two Moons. You can go from one to the next, and each of them stand alone. But also, like, if you like these characters, you get to see them reimagined 100 different times.
Yeah, I mean, I do get like. As a book fan, I think that potentially like novel readers, I don't know that it's loyalty. I think it's that like novel readers can kind of understand this pain or this fear, I think, a little more acutely and a little better and differently than like you're very much like a pop culture person that just like watches the stuff.
Right.
Because I think like the thing about being a novel reader when they go to adapt books into movies.
Yeah.
There's this very like emotional thing that has happened where you're connected to these characters and you're just so excited about the storyline, and then when they get it wrong and when they get it bad, it is disheartening. Like that happened with Ella Enchanted. If you've read the book, you know that the movie is horseshit. Like, I mean, truly.
Even if you haven't read the book, people know that the
but movie it was like incredibly disappointing because that book was magical and beautiful and it was so good. And they ruined it. And it's like similarly like Harry Potter they did a really good job with, but every Harry Potter fan kind of has this one scene that they're like, how dare you? Because there's this like emotional thing that happens. And I think that with a story like Cherry Magic and with like the experience that people had with Cherry Magic, I think there's this fear of like, you're going to ruin my perception. Not so much that you're going to ruin it, because like that's not really fair to say that, like, because the Japanese version isn't going away. It's not going anywhere. Like that still exists on its own, but like this perception of like you're going to portray this thing that is so special in the wrong way, like in a bad light. Right. And because you feel protective over it, that's that like knee-jerk reaction. And I do understand that on some level, but on the other level, like if you hate it, you can literally just pretend it didn't happen. Right. Like, that's what I do with, like, my favorite books that have been turned into movies, and then those movies are horseshit. I literally just pretend they didn't happen. Yeah. It does annoy me when people will say things like, oh, that's such a good movie. I love that so much, because I'm like my eyes starts twitching a little bit. Like, I'm like, oh, okay. But, like, yeah, if you hate it, you can just pretend it didn't happen. Yeah. Like, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I cannot wait for the Tenu version of Cherry Magic.
I think it's gonna be good. I think it's genius.
I mean, GMMTV has really stepped it up this year, so I feel like they are paying really good attention and care to these stories. I mean, they did a great job with F4, as I've heard.
F4 is good. So I have watched all the iterations of Boys Over Flowers because Boys Over Flowers was my first K-drama, and so like even though it's very problematic in so many ways, it has this like special place in my heart, and I've watched every version of it, including F4.
I unfortunately started with Meteor Garden and could not.
I think F4 is one of the better versions for sure. I also think Bright is a really good actor.
I was gonna say, does it have to do with the actors that?
Yeah, I think Bright is a really talented actor. So
because it wasn't necessarily the production. Is it all set?
Well, the production quality is, of course, better than even Boys Over Flowers because Boys Over Flowers was made so long ago, right? Like, the production quality is there for sure. Yeah.
There are just so many actors.
So little time, truly. I did, like I said, I thought about cheating and making, like, a separate GMMTV list, but then I didn't.
Well, and there are new actors. Like, for example, Tidal is somebody that I didn't even consider, like, 2 months ago. And now I'm like, I can't wait to see what else he does.
I wonder if we should do an awards. We've joked about this. Where we do like an awards of like best rookie.
LTBL. That would be cute. Although Title isn't a rookie because he's been around for 5 years.
No, but you said like new actors.
Right. Like, yeah, because I really love Love in the Air, and I was like, these actors, each of these actors portrayed these characters so well that like I've really like imprinted on these characters enough to like want to read the book. And so yeah, I was like, which of the Love in the actors could I pick to like do this? And they didn't make the list.
Yeah, but
they were so close. It's hard to pick from one of the 4. But yeah, I can't wait to see what the rest of the year brings. God, especially with Only Friends coming up soon.
I know, but those are all GMMTV boys, and I purposely excluded GMMTV from my list.
Yeah. Again, so many actors, so little time. Tell us who your top 5 favorite actors are.
Yes. Actors. And what your definition of a top actor is. Because we both happen to go solely based on the acting, but I think it's totally fair if you go based on like the acting and the persona, or like, you know, like who's interesting to follow. Like, I think that's totally fair because like that's how you interact. So also tell us your criteria. Like, what is a top like what makes a top actor?
I know. It's different for everyone. This has been Let's Talk BL. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow all things Let's Talk BL at Let's Talk BL.